Alright, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about a few news articles and something a little bit different. We're going to take a look at CoinMarketCap and see where we're at in the current market, if you will. And, well, it's not looking too good as of yet, although crypto usually bounces back, and I don't really mean to FUD or anything like that, just bringing you the news. Don't shoot the messenger kind of deal. So the market cap is at 272 billion, and we haven't seen this level in a little while, and it's not the lowest it's been lately, although it was back in about April or so when we were at the lowest at about 249 billion or so. So it is approaching that. So the last time, if you don't really count April, it wasn't until about February or so that we were in this dip, February 6th. And even before that, it wasn't until back in at least in November or so. So we have been taken back many months in terms of the market cap, and coins are overall way down. We got Bitcoin at about 6,300 and EOS at $10.29. And if I were to refresh this page shortly, it would be much lower. Tron all the way down to 4 cents. And I'm a little interested in Verge coin. 2.7 cents. So Verge is doing real bad at the moment. I'm sort of glad I got rid of that pretty fast. Interestingly enough, Ethereum Classic is still kind of up due to that hype of it being added to Coinbase. But even Litecoin has broken under $100. And even EOS was down pretty low as well. So if we just go back to the 7-day here, its lowest was well under $10 there at about 961 or so. So that brings me to this article that was written by somebody on Reddit. And normally I don't bring Reddit articles just because they were just written by somebody on Reddit, but this was really well written. And I've been talking to a buddy of mine the past couple days. Sometimes we play games, sometimes we talk on Steam, yada yada. And we've been talking about basically what everything was in this article. So again, this article is not entirely my opinion. I do feel it was well written, and some of the things in it I certainly agree with. So let me begin here. So possibly a restart, question mark. So unfortunately, we clearly entered a bear market, even though we had a lot of good news regarding crypto adoption. And in my opinion, the reasons for this are clear. There's too many coins with no real usage. So let's go back to CoinMarketCap. Let's see how many there are. So there's 1,628 that are just listed on CryptoMarketCap and, or CoinMarketCap, and any other coins still probably exist, but really aren't big enough to even be listed at all. So we do have a lot of coins, and most people have no idea what these coins are for. A lot of these coins were ICO coins that just happened to fund some kind of project or something like that, and a lot of them were promised to do something when they really don't. And I think the sheer fact of adding additional coins every single day, more and more tokens, or utility tokens, whatever you want to call them, being added every day almost takes away from the validity of all of the other coins. And you know what? I know I'm probably going to take some flack for this, but and I don't mean to bash anybody's beliefs, but it's almost like religion in a way, in the sense that, like, if this was a list of religions, we would see, Christianity and Buddhism, we'd see Islam, we'd see Judaism, we'd see the tons of different sects of Catholicism, we'd see Shintoism and this, that, and the other thing, and there's just hundreds of them. And so I think, like, the majority of, I think just the fact of that there's so many religions in the world, it reduces the validity of all other religions. So if you're Catholic and you believe that there's just this one God, and yada yada, we'll get rid of the details, you believe in this God, but then there's this other religion that says, no, there's not just one God, there's multiple gods. And then there's another religion that's like, no, there's no God, you just be spiritual with nature. And then there's this other religion that says, no, there's this, that, and the other thing. And so I think by the sheer fact that there's so many, it takes away the validity of the other ones, because how could these people be right, and how could these people be right at the same time? So we have all these coins, And the problem is that people are investing 34 million into this coin. They're investing 28 million into this coin, investing 23 million into this coin, and that takes away from the market cap of the real actual coins that, in my opinion, are usually the top some odd coins. So, for example, we have Bitcoin, the first, and that's useful as a currency. It's useful as a store of value. And then we have Ethereum, that's really great as a currency, a store of value, and for DApps, for smart contracts. And then we have Ripple, and whether you like Ripple or not, it's pretty useful for banks in order to send their funds back and forth. Could they do it with another currency? Sure. But then you start getting more and more and more and more, and they all have their own ideas, and that starts to be a problem. So I still don't know why we have coins like Bitcoin Gold or Diamond. Either do we. And recently I stumbled upon a Donald Trump coin. Even though these coins make up a small fraction of the entire market cap, their cumulative weight on the entire market is large, and these coins divert money flow, which would be needed in professional projects. Thus, pure speculations on such coins has the same effect as shorting, which is all true. I just can't disagree with that. So, we have a lot of these ICOs, speaking about point number 2, that are bringing out coin after coin after coin, and and they don't actually have a project. Like, for example, EOS is probably the biggest one. It didn't even have a project. There were no applications. There was no mainnet, and it's all starting to come together now. But these companies are starting to realize that, hey, we don't need to actually go to these investors anymore. We don't need to have our own capital. We don't need to go to the bank and get a business loan. We can just bring out an ICO. The coin has nothing to do with our project, and there is no reason you don't need a coin or a blockchain for our project. But we can raise $6 million, and then we can either just run away with the money, which I hope not, but we could take that money and then build our project from there. So nobody actually has the money to begin with to be building these projects that are just pure hype and speculation. So too many ICOs. Again, investing in ICOs is the same effect in shorting. Now, a couple of million US dollars, a rather small amount compared to the approximately $300 billion market cap. But again, the cumulative effect of these ICOs ends up shorting the market. Plus, even though there are good projects with potential real-world uses for blockchain implementation, there are many scammy and unprofessional ICOs which suck up great volumes of the general market cap. I saw a post recently about a project proclaiming to use artificial intelligence in the cannabis industry. Why? What for? If you're a good botanist or a good grower or something like that, you have a good hydroponic system, you can grow plants, including cannabis. It doesn't matter. It's such a pointless. You don't need. Why do you need blockchain in the cannabis industry? Call me an artificial intelligence. Call me naive, and maybe one day in the future this will be just explosive, and it'll be like, hey, MrSotko, you're an idiot because back in the day you said you don't need artificial intelligence for cannabis, but currently you don't. All you need is. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to grow pot or anything, but it could be done, right? Obviously, it could be done. You just get hydroponics, you just get somebody who knows what they're doing, or a botanist or something like that, and you can grow yourself some reefer. Why do you need artificial intelligence? So let's take a look at Bitcoin here, and its total market cap is 108 billion, right? So let's just round this off to 300 billion just for ease. So if half of these coins did not exist, where would all this 500 million go? Where would this 349 million go? Well, it would go into Litecoin, it would go into EOS, it would go probably into Bitcoin Cash if that's your thing. It would go into Ripple, it would go into Ethereum, it would go into Bitcoin, and all of that squeezed in would increase Bitcoin's market cap, maybe not 2 or 3 fold, obviously, because the market cap is only 300 billion. So Bitcoin wouldn't go to 300 billion, but it would increase the price a lot. We might be looking at $10,000 with Bitcoin instead of just 6,300. But instead, all of the money is just spread out between these, honestly, pretty useless tokens like Bitcoin Diamond. What's the point? Nobody knows. Vergecoin, it's awful. Nobody knows. Wow, you can buy a porn subscription with it. Great, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get Verge and then go to the website and buy a porn subscription, even though nobody buys that. Why would you? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So media influence, the media usually depicts the whole crypto market as a speculative scam. And this is a huge influence on new money, which has prevented Diom from entering the market. I don't know what that is. Thus, growth stagnates. And to be honest, looking at points 1 and 2, I do understand where they get the idea of a speculative scam market from. Again, can't disagree with that. So you might ask yourself, how could this be prevented in the future? Projects based on pure short-term speculation should not be funded by the community, and this could reduce the number of purely speculative projects. So unfortunately, our greed made illegitimate projects strong. Most of the coins listed have no use case and could be described as scammy. I guess we had the chance to prevent this, but our greed took over. So I agree with that, but also this is why I stay away from ICOs and try not to promote them on the channel. Once in a great while, I'll see an ICO and I'll be like, hey, look at this ICO. It looks like it would make some money. But for the most part, I think maybe I've promoted 3 ICOs in my entire channel, and I would say the third one wasn't even much of a promotion at all. So you might ask yourself how this could be prevented in the future. So projects based on pure short-term speculation should not be funded by the community. This could reduce the number of purely speculative projects. Unfortunately, our greed made illegitimate projects strong. Most of the coins listed, I totally already read that. But I do want to note on that is that it's a purely speculative project. So if you have a project in mind and you're like, hey, I got this idea for a project, you don't actually have all the materials together. You don't actually have the ifs and hows and whys. But you have an idea, and so these people are like, hey, let's hold an ICO and get $6 million, and then we'll make the project, right? But the problem is they never had a good idea to begin with. So here's the thing. If I gave you $6 million, it wouldn't give you any better ideas. It would only give you an idea now that you can buy a Lambo. That's not an idea of a project. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you have good ideas. Just because you made an ICO based on a good idea doesn't mean you can put that idea into practice. So what can actually be done? I know this sounds strange, but the best thing that can happen is a massive crash. And I almost agree. I don't want anybody to lose money. I don't want to lose money. But it's hard to deny that. Eliminating all those shit coins, the legitimate projects will survive and continue to grow after a period of stagnation. And I know this option is very unpopular since we're all going to lose a lot of money, me included and me included. But I guess that the crash is inevitable at this point. The best thing we can hope for is to have a positive impact in the long run. By the way, to be honest, I didn't only join for the technology, but for the gains as well. So did I, and I think we all have to admit that. What made me stay was the revolutionary idea behind decentralization, and that's why it hurts to see blockchain is abused and how the community is betrayed. So here's a pretty good comment here. The issue with crypto is it's a waste of time at the moment. I kind of disagree with that, but it does have a little bit of validity to it. No one uses them for their intended use. They just sit on them like a security or a traditional stock investment or a commodity. Crypto won't properly grow until this starts. So that's the thing too, is that nobody's actually spending their Bitcoin. I mean, I know there are transactions, don't get me wrong. You might tell me that, hey, I spend my Bitcoin sometimes. Well, do you though? A lot, and a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people can't say that, including me. I've used Litecoin a few times to buy things. I use Bitcoin to buy a couple of graphics cards, Litecoin to buy graphics cards, but that's about it. I don't go around every day and fill up my gas tank with crypto. I don't go to the grocery store and fill up my grocery cart with crypto. So that's the thing, is that people are just like, hey, I'm going to buy Ripple, I'm going to buy Litecoin, I'm going to buy Ethereum or EOS, and I'm just going to sit on it and not use it at all. What's the point of that? If you're not using it, then it's not actually being spent and traded around and giving incentive for people to buy it and trade it and sell it again. And nobody realizes that. And I think people are a little too greedy that they don't actually want to sell their Bitcoin or trade it for a good and services or buy something with it, because they're too afraid of the price going back up. They're too afraid that 4 or 5 years from now the FOMO will be too strong and they'll end up having to buy in again, or all of the speculation that Bitcoin is going to go to 20,000, it's going to go to 50,000, it's going to go to 100,000. They don't want to spend it because they want it to go to 50,000. But ask yourself, when are you going to sell it? When it's at 50,000? And what's the point of that? Like, it's just going to lower the price right again when everybody sells it at 50,000. That's not how a currency works. So crypto is beginning to become a weird place now that it has become so popular, and I'm the first person to admit that. Everybody is concerned about the price and about selling it and trading it and making money with it. And I admit I'm one of those people. And I say the other type of people are the minority of the people, that group B people, if you will, that are just believe in Bitcoin, that believe that the blockchain and the technology is going to be completely adopted by the planet and everybody will be using cryptocurrency. And that's fine. I think that may be the case, some kind of digital currency sometime in the future. I'm a little bit more pessimistic on that. I think the plutocrats will end up making their own coin, like the Rothschilds' IMO coin, and we'll all be using IMO, or we'll all be using the dollar coin, if you will. Something like that is going to end up taking place sometime in the future, because the governments of the world are going to realize that if they just make these coins, they don't have to produce money, they don't have to ship the money, they don't have to worry about the money getting stolen or lost or anything like that. They just make it and distribute it. That's it. With an electronic network, sooner or later the world will run on cryptocurrency, but it will be government cryptocurrencies likely. I hate to say that, but I think we all know that in the back of our minds, that the government is, the government is just going to stand by and be like, okay, we're not going to print money anymore and everybody could just use Bitcoin. You know that's not going to be the case. How would that even work very well? So crypto is a weird place right now, and it has some evolving to do. In fact, let's just go ahead and refresh that, see where we're at. It's still 272. I'm actually surprised by that. So that is my rant on the current state of Bitcoin and crypto in general. I think it kind of needs a restart. We kind of need a crash so that some of these coins give up and everybody gives up on some of these worthless coins, and decides, and I'm not saying every single coin that I'm scrolling past is worthless, and that's not what I'm saying at all. So if you're invested into ARK, or you're invested into into BAT or a Walton chain or anything like that, all the power to you. But some of these coins we all can agree on are totally garbage and have no real purpose. And some of these coins are made by websites in order to use it on the website, and that's fine. But the problem is some of these are completely just dead, and people are still investing into them. So I can understand how a company would want to make a coin to facilitate their transactions. That totally makes sense. So, go ahead and work on your projects and things like that. But the problem is just too many coins, and I understand that people are still going to do it. So it's kind of it's kind of a hypocrisy that you can't make more coins because it's starting to take away from the market cap of real coins. But in the end, you need to do that because you need to further the technology. So, a crash would take away a lot of these coins, and the real coins, the good coins, the useful coins with good blockchains will survive, even though they'll be stagnant for a while and their price will dip. And you might think this coin is over, this coin is done. But the coins that survive and go back up after the apocalypse and after the dust has cleared will be the survivors. And it's almost like evolution at this point, and the strong will survive. So moving on to some articles here and getting a little less fuddy, and don't mind me, I'm just trying to tell it how it is and be as realistic as possible. I'm not trying to say, hey, buy this coin, buy this coin, buy this ICO, buy this ICO, and I got referral links. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not, everybody wants to make money. I want to make money. But the problem is I got to be realistic with myself first and foremost. And to be realistic with myself, I need to be realistic in front of the camera to you guys. So that's all it is. It's not trying to FUD on the market. Nothing like that. So let's get a little bit of water going here on the daily vlog, because it's very, very hot in here. Yeah, I got AC, but when it's over 100 degrees outside in Arizona, wow. Let me just tell you. Suspicious transaction at Korean exchange CoinRail months before the hack. So following the announcement by South Korean crypto exchange CoinRail that has been hacked, a local publication reported that some banks had identified suspicious transactions at the exchange and stopped providing services months before the incident. So South Korea's seventh largest crypto exchange, CoinRail, announced that it was hacked on Sunday, with thieves targeting several altcoins. The damage is estimated to be around 45 billion, about 42 million US dollar. The hardest hit was Pundidex, a recently launched token that accounts for roughly 2/3 of CoinRail's trading volume, including ATX, MPER, and DENT, the exchange wrote on its website. So on Monday, Chosin reported that back in February, some local banks detected money laundering activities on CoinRail. In the publication quoted a bank official revealing several banks that traded with CoinRail found suspicious money laundering transactions in CoinRail in February, and some banks took steps to stop their fund deposits in April. So in South Korea, banks can legally refuse to service crypto exchanges under the Financial Transaction Reporting and Use Act. And if they do not don't use their real name accounts, the real name system was implemented by the regulators at the end of January. So there was a little bit of an issue there with CoinRail, but nobody said anything and nobody did anything about it. But money laundering does not necessarily mean hacking. So everybody was trying to say that CoinRail was the reason for this dump that we are seeing. And that's just not the case. CoinRail is not a very big exchange. And so I would say disregard most of the news that goes around with CoinRail at the moment because it just wasn't big enough. I mean, even like Bitcoin or anything wasn't even stolen. So all these coins that were stolen really don't have too much of an effect on the market. So sooner or later here, some people will start talking about CoinRail, and I hope they do. Even though I just talked about it. Question mark. Weird. Oh, excuse me. Whoa, it's hot. It's like that Simpsons episode, where Mr. Rogers wanted to take off his shirt on TV. He's like, "What do you mean I can't take off my sweater? It's hot." Calls for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to be reinstated are growing inside China. So with the largest English language newspaper of the region, which is owned by the government's mouthpiece, the People's Daily, running an editorial recently saying that regulation is better than saying no to Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin resurrection following 3 major corrections that the cryptocurrency has experienced so far this year reignited the debate over a broader adoption of the controversial asset, whose trading has been banned in markets including China. There's an increasing belief that just saying no to Bitcoin won't be the eventual solution to the cryptocurrency issue. A more fundamental approach would be to embrace the new technology without putting the country's financial system at stake. So I'm glad that people are starting to kind of revolt a little bit in China, and even state-owned newspapers are starting to write articles saying, hey, maybe we should not ban it and just regulate it. So let me show you something here of the effect that China can have on Bitcoin. So let's go ahead and move this on up to the east side, get ourselves a slice of the pie, deluxe apartment in the sky. It was sometime in September. Where was that crash? So this was the crash here, I do believe. And it was near September, so we reached nearly 5,000. So I remember this pretty vividly. And we went down to about 3,200 or so. And here we go. Yeah, so it went down to about 3,000. And this was when China banned Bitcoin exchanges and using Bitcoin overall. And as you can see, it was nearly at 5,000, went all the way down to 3,000, which is a huge jump. It's a massive jump, to say the least. So we had probably not, I would say not as big as the 20,000 to 6,000 crash, but going from 5,000 to 3,000 is a very significant loss in, it's nearly a 50% loss, a borderline 50% loss, maybe more like 40%. Between those two numbers. So 40% is a massive loss that happened there. And while, again, the most recent one was bigger, that shows the effect that China has on Bitcoin. So if you want to do the opposite of that and give Bitcoin a 40% increase, as of now, we could see Bitcoin at nearly $10,000. I mean, we might be more like at like 9,000 or so if China said tomorrow, hey, we're getting rid of all the bans on Bitcoin. Screw it, we're giving up. You would see Bitcoin increase to $9,000-$10,000 pretty fast, and that's the effect that China has on Bitcoin. So next article is really untethered. Bitcoin price manipulation returns with new research. So the tether situation is not over yet. The product of 2 researchers at University of Texas, the paper title claims to have identified potential evidence of direct manipulation since November 2017, Bitcoin's all-time high around 20,000. 1 month later, and those of major altcoins were also the result of Tether flooding the market with coins, they say. The result came following transaction analysis of Tether, creator and issuer cryptocurrency exchange Bitfinex. So using algorithms to analyze the blockchain data, we find that purchases with Tether are timed following market downturns that result in sizable increases in Bitcoin prices. Less than 1% of hours with such heavy Tether transactions are associated with 50% of the meteoric rise in Bitcoin and 64% of the other top cryptos. So both Tether and Bitfinex have regularly come under suspicion over manipulation in recent months. In addition to cryptocurrency industry pressure, a U.S. regulatory subpoena in January hastened the decline in prices, which had begun in the run-up to Christmas. According to transaction behavior, however, the manipulation is indeed very real, the researchers claim. The flow clusters below around prices and induces asymmetric autocorrelations. This is good in Bitcoin and suggests incomplete Tether backing before a month ends. These patterns cannot be explained by investor demand proxies, but are most consistent with the supply-based hypothesis where Tether is used to provide price support and manipulate cryptocurrency prices. So I think sooner or later the lid will be blown off on Tether, whether it is really real or whether it is not. They have yet to be audited. They actually fired their auditor when they were about to audit them, which is always a bad thing. It's always a bad look, if you will. When you're about to be audited and you're like, hey, don't audit me, maybe you got something to hide. Because if you don't have anything to hide, you might as well just get audited, and that way there's no FUD or anything like that. So, doesn't look good. So as Bitcoin futures volume increased, credit agencies look to downgrade dealers. So this past April, news Bitcoin.com reported on the Bitcoin futures market offered by two derivatives giants, CBOE and CME Group, and how contract volumes were steadily rising. This month, while Bitcoin spot prices slide to significant lows, both futures products from these companies are still seeing increased demand for the contracts. Oh, futures. At it again. So summer is here, and the month of June has been extremely bearish for cryptocurrency markets that have been struggling to grasp just a taste of those all-time highs touched last year. The most dominant digital asset held by Bitcoin Core, let me guess, this is a Bitcoin.com article, has lost over 13,000 in value since it touched 19.6 before Bitcoin in mid-December 2017. So most of the crypto bull run last year took place a couple months before the launch of CBOE and CME Group futures markets. Immediately after these two markets went live, Bitcoin spot prices tumbled and have been extremely bearish over the past 5 months since those highs. Besides the first day's open in volumes, these derivative markets were initially pretty dull with no action, and some days there were less than a few hundred contracts per day. So things have changed since then. As we reported this past April, both marketplaces have seen increased demand for Bitcoin futures contracts over the last 2 months. CME Group's Bitcoin futures on June 11th, after last weekend's Bloody Sunday, saw volumes above 3,800 contracts for June expiries. So everybody's just betting on the shorting now and probably manipulating the price even lower to actually achieve those shorting contracts. And July contracts are starting to get attention as well. The Bitcoin futures forerunner CBOE had over 8,700 contracts for June 11th, which indicates the bloodier the markets are, the more futures are being sold. Oh, geez, what a coinky-dink. Since April 25th, when CBOE posted 19,000 contracts sold on that specific day, both CBOE and CME Group's daily derivative sales have been extremely active. Oh my, nobody wants to bet on it going up. Nobody wants to manipulate it upwards. Why not manipulate it downwards? Makes sense. So the three major credit agencies contemplate downgrading businesses who clear Bitcoin futures. Oh, thank God. Unfortunately, because these contract volumes are gradually increasing, clearinghouses and financial institutions that handle Bitcoin futures may see a credit downgrade. According to a recent report, the three rating agencies, Fitch, S&P, and Moody's, are contemplating downgrading banks that clear Bitcoin futures. Back in October 2016, Standard & Poor's Global published a report that detailed blockchain development would affect the credit ratings of banks that dealt with this technology. Then the credit agencies began discussing downgrading financial institutions this past February if the volatile contracts started to increase. So really, they're just kind of doing it because they're dealing in Bitcoin, but oh well, right? Because futures, I believe, has totally destroyed Bitcoin, at least temporarily. And many other commodities have been permanently destroyed by CME Futures Group. So Fitch, S&P, and Moody's give credit ratings to banks for certain criteria, and because Bitcoin-based futures are so volatile, this adds a lot of risk in the eyes of these agencies. If the three agencies move towards a credit rating downgrade, it could affect all clearing members that have exposure to these contracts, not just the banks providing them directly. Downgrades can affect a financial institution's asset management and lending requirements significantly. As spot prices drop to significant lows in the cryptocurrency world, many people are looking back in hindsight and wonder if these crypto-based futures products are the root cause of this bearish market. You think, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like coming home and, you know, let's say you got two dogs and the cookie jar is on the floor broken into pieces and all the cookies are eaten. And you got one dog that's over there just laying on the couch. He's just chilling, you know. And then you got one dog that's over in the corner with its face in the corner and you wonder, hey, and it's all wimpy looking. It's over in the corner. You're like, hey, which one of you dogs did this? And the one dog walks away with its head down and the other dog's like, oh, gee, I wonder which dog did it. Well, the dog that's going, oh, on the couch, laying all chill, could have potentially done it. But, you know, the majority of the time, it's the dog with its head down, looking all sassy, you know, and trying to avoid eye contact. Gee, I wonder which dog did that. So, I hope you like that analogy. I don't even know why I did that analogy. It just made sense at the time. $271 billion market cap. It changes by the second. Just keep hitting refresh and watching those prices and go crazy. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.